racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got with the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my God! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome one and welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It is Wednesday night and you know what that means. It's truck night. This is the Pro Truck Showdown and it's round 4 of the second season from the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. We've had a great opening few rounds of the season so far with some fantastic racing, some very dramatic racing, and just about a different round winner almost every time. So this is going to be a very competitive championship to shake things up in the second season. My name is Reese Gardner and Cameron Dance is joining me in the commentary box. Cam, we're at round 4 of the season now, but there has been a format change. Originally, the second race of the night is a reverse grid based on the results from race 1, but Race Direction in the Pro Truck Showdown has decided to do away with the reverse grid, saying that it's run its course. So that has thrown a spanner into the works by taking a spanner out of the works, you could say.
Yeah, certainly. It's going to mix things up and going to, I guess, make it a little bit more fair for those who finish at the front to have a bit more of a chance to try and stay at the front of the field for the second race and try and be at the front of the field for the third race as well. So it's going to probably shake it up a little bit and obviously give those that used to start down the back a little bit more hard work. But I guess it is what it is, and we're just going to have to see what it sort of brings out.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the track brings out as well, because Barcelona was one of the tracks we visited last season, and it really turned things up for that second round back in Season 1. Now it's round 4. We see the relative locations in Europe around Barcelona, in Spain, and the locality of Montmeló is where this circuit is located. We're using a very particular layout of this one. That is the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, and we are using the historic layout. This is the track as it was when it opened in 1991, with some very fast corners towards the end of the lap and no chicanes in sight in that last sector. With 4.7 kilometers in length, there's plenty of space for sends, especially at turn 1.
Yeah, certainly. And with it being such a wide track, like you said, there's plenty of room to send it up the inside or try to drive it around the outside and get a little bit sideways and all that sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, and it's bound to be some good racing like we saw last season. So, yeah, 100% looking forward to it.
100% indeed. We are out in the qualifying session now, and the drivers will each get one single lap to set their grid spot for the opening race of the night. So it all comes down to this for these drivers. Among the first is Andy Carey here, a driver who we believe is new to the series. So it'll be an interesting first time out here for Andy. And the number 42 of Sam Stride also starting his flying lap. But Mr. Carey here showing us what it takes to wheel a Lucas Oil off-road Pro 2 truck around Catalunya, using all of the curb and then some. But the corners here, they're pretty quick in most cars, but in these machines, you have to really manage the body roll, manage the weight transfer, and you see how hard Andy Carey is working the steering out of that chicane. There's not much in the way of mechanical grip in these things.
Yeah, certainly not. And with the large amount of body roll, that exaggerates the way that the amount of grip is transferred as well. I mean, there's corners around here, such as the one that he's just gone through before, where easily 150 kilometers an hour in something like a GT3 car. But in these things, you have to slow it right up to pretty much just under 100 kilometers an hour just to get the thing to turn in. So there's a lot of different ways to get these things to corner, and it certainly takes a lot of driver effort to get these things through these corners as well.
Yeah, and getting it out of the corner, you see a bit of oversteer there from Andy Carey, just dipping it into the gravel, but the very fast penultimate turn is one that he didn't quite hook up the line for as a result of that squirrely behavior on the exit of the corner. But only one more corner to go. He has completed it out over the exit curb. Let's see if this time counts, and it's going to be for Andy Carey. Looks like no time counted there for him as Lockie Dalton sets the fastest time of a 2:05.063. The off tracks are ones that you really need to be careful of around here. You can use a lot of the curbs in these trucks, but you go a little too far, and that is an off track incident, and your lap invalidated.
Yes, certainly, and it's actually quite easy to do around here as well with some of these corners where it's very, very enticing to run a little bit wide, but waiting for you on that little bit of it running wide is certainly an off track, and you don't want to get one of those, especially in this one lap qualifying sort of situation where one little mistake like that can cost you dearly.
Yes, indeed. Looks like Andy Carey is continuing to commit to his in-lap as Daniel Stevens comes across the line in the number 3. Daniel has seen some good success in this series, but it looks like it's going to take a few extra minutes to come to him there, setting a time good enough for 14th place, and unfortunately that's over 2 seconds off the pole position time, so Danny obviously losing a lot of time somewhere around that lap. It looks to me like those are all of the drivers to have set times. Having set those times, we got 5 drivers in this session who weren't able to make it across the line on a valid lap, but either way, it is going to make for a very interesting grid. Only 5 seconds left in qualifying. The drivers have no more chances, and this is going to be how they line up for the first race of the night. It's Lockie Dalton on pole alongside Justin Howe, Ben Snell and Cade Donnelly with the second row. It's Mitch Dean and Mitchell McLeod, the winner of round 1, starting from 6th. Aaron Dillon and Ryan Meyer on row 4, and Ashley Norman and Alan Rushworth rounding out the top 10.
And you're going to go over the page to the following few grid slots. You're going to have Todd Maxford and Sam Stride, followed by Harry Tompkins and Daniel Stevens. Matt Morris rounds out the top 15 with Dwayne Priest starting beside him, and then Brian Trees, Ricardo Morganti, followed by Andy Carey and Rich Mason rounding out the top 20.
And the final 3 cars, Jamie McCarran, Jade Chandler and Philip Howe. Of course, all 5 drivers at the back of the grid not able to set a time in the qualifying session. So it's all going to come down to this, and well, there's already something that I'm seeing that piques my interest. It was a standing start in previous rounds, but for some reason, we're making a start behind the safety car. We're lining up on one of the back straights here at Barcelona, and the Porsche 911 iRacing safety car is lined up in front of all of these guys, so it's going to be a rolling start for tonight. I don't know if that was intentional on the part of race control, but it's the way things stack up, and it's the way we're going to race. So at the very least, it'll probably negate any mistakes that drivers would make putting the power down off the line, which we have seen before.
Yes, certainly. It's going to make it a little bit more even in terms of a start to help these drivers get underway in racing, and it'll certainly also mix it up on the way into turn number 1 as well, because you have that drive factor and also being able to jump drivers in terms of timing the start a little bit better. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens and see what we're going to have at turn 1.
Well, the drivers move on away. Of course, a big thanks to our series sponsors. That is Scamander Coffee Mug, Allstate Security Tasmania, and Hot Toddy's Heating Installs. Thank you so much for your support, guys. This has been a great series, and I've certainly enjoyed what has been so far and what is to come, because a rolling start for the first time in the Pro Truck Showdown, and I think I heard a mandate that the leader goes on green. Slight bit of checking up in the midfield there. Of course, first time these guys have done a rolling start, so they've got to be very careful about how they form up. The pace car is in, and it's Lockie Dalton who is going to lead them away on the iRacing green flag out onto the start-finish straight. Slightly ahead is Justin Howe. He's got to be careful of that. Needs to be behind Dalton when the flag is called, and it looks like we are away. And it's a pretty even start there between Dalton and Howe, and it looks like Howe's actually gotten the better getaway, but he's going to be on the outside for turn 1, which you don't always want. Have a look at the run from Ben Snell over on the right. He tries to pressure Lockie Dalton into turn 1. They move on through, and getting a bit adventurous with track limits. Ryan Meyer, he's shoved out of the way by Sam Stride coming into the first turn, and everyone just trying to eke out their little bit of real estate. But it's Justin Howe and Lockie Dalton still side by side through turn 1 as the pack continues to race behind them. Almost a bit of contact between our two leaders, but here is where either Dalton or Howe can really stake their claim. Around the outside, can Howe do it? No, he can't, and a bit of an off-track excursion there for Sam Stride again. He's been bumped out of the way by Ashley Norman and Alan Rushworth falling back into the pack. Mitchell McLeod has moved up positions, meanwhile, as the leaders have come together in the hairpin, and that is Justin Howe ahead, muscling Lockie Dalton out of the way, and Ben Snell up into second.
And Snell's done a really, really good job to take advantage of what's been going on in front of him, as that's a little bit of a mess, and Myers up and over on his side. That's not exactly the position you want to be in, just quietly.
Yeah, certainly, and I think Matt Morris might have had something to do with that. Let's take a look at a replay, thanks to our mates at Modem Simulation. So what happened between Meyer and Morris? Well, Meyer was already recovering from getting shouldered off at the first turn. Morris comes on in, and it actually looks like Morris was the one that was turned around. We had a few trucks involved in that one.
Yeah, we certainly did, including Brian Trees, who did a full-on barrel roll and carried on like nothing happened. So, yeah, certainly not the greatest start for a few of these drivers. And it was just a matter of wheel-to-wheel contact between Morris and the man himself, Ryan Myers. So, unfortunately, those two are coming together, and it's still going on at the front of the field, though, as the rest of them are still scrapping. Mitchell McLeod with a big send up the inside of Lockie Dalton, who gets left to hang out to dry and is going to get done by also the man on his inside, Kay Donnelly.
Yeah, goodness me, once you lose one position in this series, it's just a descent down through the field, and Kay Donnelly now going to have to protect the inside here from Mitch Dean, who's going to make it 3 wide down the front stretch with Lockie Dalton, who's moved back to 5th, now to 6th, and probably 7th if Mr. Donnelly gets his way, which he won't. Dalton actually defending the inside really well from Mitch Dean and works himself back into that position, but he's got a bit of work to do because Mitchell McLeod, Mr. Aaron Dillon, Justin Howe, and Ben Snell all there just up ahead, and Snell doing very well to have worked himself into the lead. There's the view back from Dalton as Mitch Dean tries to figure out a way to get back past him. Well, he's probably going to find one eventually because Dalton running a little bit wide in the middle of that turn. That is a door that you don't want to open because your opponents will just jump for it.
Yeah, they certainly do, and that's a door that you certainly don't want to leave open, like you said, and gap there on Mitch Dean out of that corner there, so get a little bit of breathing room for the time being, and Mitch Dean's actually got a little bit of breathing room back to Kay Donnelly, who's just gone very, very crossed up on the way into the following corner, but certainly they're both single file at the front of the field, and I guess they're playing it a bit safe for now between Howe and Snell, while likes of Dillon and McLeod trying to chase him down.
Yeah, this is a 5-lapper, this one, to start the night off, and man, this battle between the leaders really hotting up because Justin Howe at the exit of the chicane just before this point, he got a much better exit than Ben Snell did, and talk about the exit from the hairpin as well. Howe manages to get ahead once they get into the braking zone, but Snell still alongside coming into the right-hander. Can he get the power down and secure the lead? No, not quite. Justin Howe was able to get it down a little bit earlier and keep the momentum up. He's still holding it round the outside. Snell having to take avoiding action there to keep both of them on the track, and that is Justin Howe into the lead with Ben Snell running a little bit wide of the gravel trap. I don't think it's going to be easy going for the lead again at turn 1, but have a look at Mitch McLeod there emerging from the left behind Aaron Dillon. He's going to go for it for 3rd place, bump drafting between the leaders on the run up into turn 1, and that is McLeod ahead now of Aaron Dillon, last season's champion, and Howe's gotten a bit crossed up on the exit of the first couple turns, and this means Snell is going to have another red hot go at him, tries to keep it round the outside, but Howe just bumps him out of the way at the last opportunity and puts himself ahead. This is great.
Yeah, it certainly is great. And Snell's going to try around the outside again on the way into turn 4. Is he going to be able to hold it? He's trying his best. Mitchell McLeod sitting here with nowhere to go, not knowing which way to go. But Snell has managed to hold it around the outside very, very well. He's going to have the inside for the following corner, sneaks it up the inside. McLeod's trying to do the same thing and follow him on through, which it looks like he's just barely going to do, but not quite. And Snell is going to retake this lead.
Yeah, well, Howe just slots in between Snell and McLeod there, and this is where he is strong, the exit of that chicane. And he just emerges alongside Ben Snell, trying to get a wider entry into this right-hander, because if you can get the power down nicely out of here, you've got a hole straight to take advantage, and it looks like that is what Justin Howe's trying to do. Snell moves over to the racing line, and Howe, the door is open, and he goes through. Let's see if Snell can hold it. Oh, big contact between the two of them. I think that's put paid to that. Ben Snell is going to have to sit behind for a little bit at least.
Yeah, he certainly is going to have to sit behind for a little bit for the time being. Although that's not a bad thing with how good the draft is on the way down the back straight, well, down the front straight, sorry, as well. So he's got himself a very, very good position at this stage. And though Mitch McLeod's probably even in more prime position as they're cutting the corner on the inside just behind them, as well as they're scrapping for the likes of P5 and that between Dalton, Dillon, and Dean. And then it's even still going on between the likes of Rushworth, Donnelly, Howe, and Priest.
Yeah, we take a look at them now. As Alan Rushworth there with Rushy on his banner takes the final turn, and looks like it's going to be a move from Cade Donnelly coming down into turn one. Mr. Rushworth staying in the middle of the road to try and force Cade to take one, and that's a big overshoot from Cade Donnelly. Let's see if he's done enough to hold on. Just muscles Mr. Rushworth out of the way once more, and he is through. But for how long is the big question. I want to update on Lockie Dalton as well, because he's managed to work himself back into 4th place, made a move on Aaron Dillon at the 3rd last corner on the previous lap. So if these guys, the top 3, keep battling as they are, Dalton's going to be right in this again to win it.
Yeah, he certainly is going to be right in this to win it. And it's only going to take a small bump from McLeod or Howe on Snell, and it's all going to go off. And as a result, Dalton's going to be right there, ready to pounce. So we'll have to wait and see what happens as Snell moves back into the lead of the race. And McLeod's still sitting there patiently waiting and knowing he's got a very, very good opportunity coming up this time by when they come down the start-finish straight.
Yes, indeed, but can he wait that long is the question. That's a great exit from Ben Snell as we take a look at him from above, past the chicane that used to be there on the circuit, but not used very much now. Very fast entry into this hairpin turn, which has a curved opening exit. Very difficult to put the power down out of here at the best of times. The top 3 staying stable. It looks like between Sam Stride and Ashley Norman, it's going to be a big one eventually as well, but I have to wait and see on that. Have a look at Ben Snell through the final sector, managing to gap Justin Howe and Mitchell McLeod ever so slightly, but really what that's going to do for them is give them a bit more breathing room in the draft, and Dalton now right on the back of them. This is a proper draft train now, coming down into the first turn, and they reach some pretty high top speeds for these trucks, especially in the draft. Just touching 220 kilometers an hour for Justin Howe on the run down to turn 1 as he sweeps round the outside of Ben Snell. A great move from Justin, and that is the lead for him once more. But McLeod now sees the door open by Snell and tries shoving it in there, and it was a bit too hard. The door was slammed in Ben Snell's face, and he is to be shuffled all the way back into 5th place. I don't think he's going to be too happy with that one.
Yeah, he's probably not going to be too pleased with Mitch after that one. Mitch certainly gave it a red hot go, firing it up the inside. I don't quite think the gap was there, though, for him to send it up the inside. We're going to make a simulation replay of it, though, and have a look at it. And you can see Mitch just saw the opportunity arise, threw it up there, and as a result, a little bit of, I guess there was 2 wheels on the track, 3 wheels, a little bit hard to tell, but doing the same thing with Cade Donnelly as well and Ashley Norman.
Yeah, have a look at that. Shuffled out of the way is Ashley Norman in the number 7. It looks like he almost lost another position out of that as well. Ben Snell was very lucky not to be flipped over there. But it's a new top 3 battle. Ben Snell out of the picture for the time being as they are on the final lap. Justin Howe has got the lead that he needs for the last sector. McLeod, I don't think, is going to have a proper run at him unless something drastic happens, but Lockie Dalton should be happy. He's managed to work himself back up into 3rd and maybe potentially 2nd, with McLeod running a little bit wide, but that was tactical from Mitch, the power down, and he's parking it on the apex again to keep Lockie Dalton behind. Justin Howe has absolutely nothing to worry about now with that battle there working out in his favour. So one more turn to go then for Justin. And this is going to be a very sweet victory. He timed the rolling start well, kept himself in the battle for the lead the whole way through, and it's paid off for him. It's maximum points from race 1 for Justin Howe. Mitchell McLeod on the podium with Lockie Dalton in 3rd place. And this is how things are working out further back in the pack. Dwayne Priest trying to find his way past Alan Rushworth, and he got close, but ultimately no dice.
Yeah, close but no cigar, unfortunately for him. And Andy Carey will come home just ahead of the man who finished behind him. It was a bit of a drag race to the line, but not quite in the end, so he's going to take that one. But what a race it was in this one, Reese.
Yeah, what a race indeed, and these are the results then. Justin Howe, Mitchell McLeod and Lockie Dalton are your podium. Snell managed to recover back to 4th after passing Aaron Dillon there. Mitch Dean comes home in 6th place, the first of the Chicken Up cars. Sam Stride coming home in 7th with Donnelly, Norman and Philip Howe rounding out the top 10, bookended by father and son.
We're going to have Alan Rushworth in 11th, Twythe Coast Priest, Maxfield in 13th, Stevens in 14th. Carey rounds out the top 15 with Mason 16th, Tompkins, Karen, Trezise, Morris rounding out the top 20, and then Chandler, Morganti and Meyer rounding out the field.
Yeah, Ryan Myers just coming through the last turn now to take the finish. It was a very poor race from his perspective, of course, through no fault of his own. Shuffled out of the way and having to deal with some very big hits, but he is the last classified finisher. And with that, we move immediately over to the second race. It's going to be a 7-lapper for this one, and the full 23-car grid is going to line up the same way that they finished in race 1. So Mr. Howe is on pole position with McLeod alongside him on the front row. Now, this is going to be quite the interesting fight between all of them. They're all very familiar with each other, and I think Ben Snell, starting from 4th, will be looking for some vengeance.
Yeah, he certainly will be looking for some vengeance after being shuffled out of the way by McLeod on that time. But wouldn't be surprised if he returns serve in this race as well. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. And yeah, it's pretty much anyone's guess as to who's going to come away with this one, I guess.
Anyone's guess indeed. Only 10 seconds left on the grid, or the pseudo grid that we have on the run down to the final sector here. And once again, it's going to be the iRacing pace car leading them away. So, more drivers who would be looking to make good on this one. Ryan Meyer, well, he started in 8th in race 1. He's having to start all the way from the back in this race, and it's going to be difficult to pick his way through. Does not have the advantage of there being a reverse grid, and the advantage, I suppose, in that would be that the drivers starting in front of you are slower, more or less, so you have an easier time of getting past them, allegedly. But with the reverse grid not being a thing anymore, it's going to be very difficult for him to find his way back up. So, just a couple more corners to go for these drivers. Justin Howe will know when the iRacing green flag comes out, it's all his coming down into turn 1. But Mitchell McLeod starting on the outside, he will have the racing line coming into the first corner, and he might have a red hot go at throwing it round the outside. So we get ready to go then. 7 laps in the Pro Truck Showdown. The pace car is in, waiting for the iRacing green flag, and away we go. And that's actually a bit too good of a start, I think, from Mitch Dean. He went a little bit early, and that's created a potential 4-wide situation here with, Justin Howe unable to get the power down, and he's lost the lead. He's back down into 4th place now as McLeod takes the lead round the outside of turn 1. Big shuffling between Lockie Dalton and Ben Snell in the second turn. Justin Howe working his way back ahead. There's a huge incident in the back. Alan Rushworth, along with turning around Philip Howe, and it seems Ashley Norman, both finding themselves on their roofs.
Yeah, certainly a very, very big rollover for Philip Howe, especially. He just got side-by-side contact with Ashley Norman and got sort of stuck on him, and then had contact with Rushworth, and as a result, the little bit of contact just pretty much rolled him over, and absolute mess of a time it was back there further in the field.
Oh no! Justin Howe has gone way too deep there at the hairpin. tried to get a few positions back, but ultimately he lost them right back. He's now behind Mitch Dean and in front of Aaron Dillon. Dillon makes contact with Howe, who goes into Dean, and all of them managing to keep it on the track, but the concertina has started. That's Sam Stride trying to sneak his way through on the inside, as is Daniel Stevens. Big contact between all of them. They're ricocheting off each other like it's a, well, I don't really have an analogy prepared, but it's looking pretty intense out there.
Yeah, it certainly is. And everybody's not really knowing where to go.
No.
The contact between Stevens and the 42. By the looks of it, the 42's barely just hanging on. That's Sam Stride. He's trying to get back up and going. Oh, more contact going on with Rushworth ending up copping a whack as well, and copping another whack as well from Sam Stride.
Yeah, Justin Howe and Daniel Stevens coming together in the corner just after. So now Dwayne Priest has the world ahead of him here, trying to find his way past this mess. Look at this, the number 16, and that is Richard Mason, I believe. And oh no, we got 2 cars off at the final turn. Goodness, that was Todd Maxfield and Alan Rushworth, both of them getting off track at the final turn. What a crazy lap 1 this was. But look at this, 3 wide for the lead. That's Ben Snell getting through on Mitch McLeod to take the race lead, and Lockie Dalton trying his best to put himself up in there as well. Looks like the top 3 have done a good job of breaking away here, and Dalton trying to get past McLeod, shoving it up the inside. There's Sam Stride and Kay Donnelly side by side through the 3rd turn as well. Look at the run there from Donnelly. Power down round the outside always works out, but he's got a braking zone to deal with here.
And whether he's going to be able to hold it around the outside is another question. It looks like he's going to be able to do it very well, actually, with the amount of momentum that he's carrying, and he's going to have the inside for the following corner as well. So it's going to be in his favour on the way into this corner, and he's going to take that position off Stridey very, very easily. So position gain there. Well, Stridey's going to come back at him, though, on the inside with a bit of the course cutting on the inside, but it's not quite going to be able to gain it in the end.
Yeah, not quite. Still bumper to bumper, though, coming into the chicane. So things have calmed down a little bit now from lap 1, and it seems that our top 3 are continuing to operate in their own little world. And we take a look at what's happening further back in the field here with Todd Maxfield now trying to find his way past the 915 of Ryan Meyer. And oh my goodness, that's a big move for the lead just up ahead. That is Lockie Dalton going for it on Ben Snell. Snell's got the inside for this corner, but can he hold it is the big question. McLeod there just biding his time, hoping for these two to come together. It looks like Ben Snell has done enough to keep Mr. Dalton behind him for now. Or has he? Big move from Lockie Dalton at the final turn. Bumps Snell out of the way. And it's going to be a side-by-side run. That's compromised both of them. It's going to allow McLeod through. Oh, maybe not if Lockie Dalton committed to that move. It's 3 wide down the front straight once again. The drivers need to look side to side to see each other. Who is going to be last of the late breakers into the first turn? They're all pretty even there, but Ben Snell has the widest arc. McLeod, though, with the inside, and Dalton gets pincer moved out of the way.
You got squeezed there by the two. Either side. A little bit of contact between Snell and Dalton. I don't know how they actually managed to keep that going, but certainly did in the end. And Dalton's going to be coming under pressure from the man in P4, Mitch Dean, who's now on the back of this train, as well as Justin House. So it's a 5-way scrap for the lead of this race.
Could soon be a 6-way scrap with Aaron Dillon being where he is. Oh no! That's huge between them. Justin Howe and Mitch Dean, both involved in a huge accident at the 4th turn, and all of those positions lost instantly. Mitch Dean missing his front end. Another replay thanks to our mates at Modem Simulation. So here's what happened. Mitch Dean was a little bit later on the brakes and had to go a bit wide, but then ultimately it was Howe who tried going for the inside and turned him around. So it's a big shame between the two of them, but the rest of them continue with Dalton here trying to get a leg up on Mitch McLeod. He's got a good run coming into the hairpin, but I think Dalton knows being on the outside into this corner is more or less the optimum place to be. And oh, here we go. Sam Stride trying to get past Kay Donnelly again as they lead up a huge train of trucks. They got Priest, Stevens, and Mason behind them at the moment.
Definitely do, and it's a very, very, very long train, and that's 3 wide nearly there for those few trucks, and he's trying to get going. It is Mitch Dean by the looks of it. He's still suffering from that damage that he got earlier on after contact with Justin Howe. And Matt Morris is trying to go around the outside of him. It looks like he's just going to be able to do it. And position gain there for Morris. Now Maxfield's going to look to have a go at Mitch Dean here, as well as Ryan Meyer.
Well, Ryan Meyer's having a very good race compared to his first one. We'll see if he can get that one done, but that's a big draft there from Dalton, who actually had a double draft. McLeod trying up the inside of Snell into the first turn, and he has done it, or has he? I feel like I say that every single time. A move here in these trucks is never 100%. There's always somewhere that the other guy can come back at you. It looks like McLeod just securing the lead again versus Snell, but watch and wait. Ben Snell is going to go up the inside into the fourth turn. McLeod's going to try and hold it so that he has the inside line for the hairpin. It's just a never-ending sequence around here.
Ending cycle. It's pretty much he's going to pass him. No, he's not. He's going to get passed back. Oh, he's going to pass him again. Sort of thing as McLeod sends it up the inside. 3 wide out to the corner. McLeod gets squeezed. Dalton somehow manages to hold on after being slightly sideways, 45 degrees to each other.
Oh my goodness, that was great. So Lockie Dalton positioning his truck just right, and seems he's got a run on Snell here. Could translate into a move down at the end of the straight, and here is the field. Sam Stride making his way through. Donnelly, Priest, Mason, Rushworth, Daniel Stevens there in the purple and white truck you just saw before we cut away. Here's Matt Morris and Todd Maxfield for 12th and 13th once more. And these two just cannot leave each other alone. Ryan Meyer just behind them, carrying a slight bit of damage from the lap 1 shenanigans, but still looking like quite a fast truck. So between Matt Morris and Todd Maxfield, they do need to try and stay out of each other's hair, otherwise they will both lose a position.
They want to work together more than fight at this stage, especially with still quite a bit of racing to go. So if they can work together, they'll be able to catch up to the drivers ahead very, very easily, especially with the way that the draft is working. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens between these two, and whether they're going to fight or whether they're going to use their heads.
Well, we'll see whether they fight or use their heads up at the front, because it's on again between Ben Snell and Lockie Dalton. Dalton on the outside this time. Oh, Snell a little bit braver on the brakes, keeps it ahead at the turn-in point. So Dalton ultimately having to back out of that one and have another go, possibly at the next braking zone. Got to keep that momentum up, because Mitch McLeod is right there. That's your top 3. Just behind them. Whoa, hello. That is Todd Maxfield making the move on Matt Morris through the third turn, and looks like he might just secure it here. How brave is Morris on the brakes in the number 23? Looks like they're pretty even as well. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Have a look at that. Just sticking his nose in here. Excellent stuff between these guys, and Ryan Meyer working out really well. Look at this, he's going to go for the move. No, Morris bumps both of them out of the way into the braking zone. Maxfield has to take a trip through the gravel trap. Ryan Meyer, some very opportunistic driving there, almost gained it. But meanwhile, for third between Snell and McLeod, it continues.
It does continue. These guys have not let off at all. They're still going at it. Mitch McLeod going to look to the inside, nearly going to have to look to the outside on the way into the back end of the circuit. Snell's going to drift a little bit wide, and McLeod's going to give him a bit of a bump to say, hurry up, mate. And he's going to use that to his advantage, actually. And now Justin Howe's back in this by the looks of it, sending it up the inside.
Oh, contact between Snell and Dalton, though. That slowed both of them up. Almost allowed McLeod to have a look at. Oh no, that's contact between McLeod and Dalton. Sorry, that is Mr. Howe just making contact with McLeod's left rear quarter. Dalton himself now into the lead and under immense pressure now from Ben Snell. McLeod once again hanging the tail out on the exit of the final turn. Dalton going hugely defensive here, but have a look at how much the draft is worth. Oh, it's not going to be worth as much with that slight bit of contact between the two of them, but we'll see what Ben Snell can do in the braking zone. He was very brave last time around, and he's just as brave this time. Sweeps around the outside and goes into the lead. Excellent move. So now Dalton has just under 2 laps left to think about how he's going to try and get this lead back. He's got a difficult task ahead of him, though. McLeod's still there. Howe is still there. And we have got Aaron Dillon just brooding in the background by himself.
Definitely, and you've even got Sam Stride not too far behind Aaron as well. So, for all we know, it could turn into a 6 or 7 car battle for the lead at the end of this race with the way this is going and how hard they've been fighting.
Yes, indeed. Looks like the position has been worked out between Cade Donnelly and Dwayne Crease, with Cade now gapping him as the top 4, now top 5, well and truly together here. And if they keep, we keep saying, if they keep slowing each other up like this, it's going to be a very tight battle on the final lap of this race. Meanwhile, let's see what Aaron Dillon is doing just behind the top 4 group. That's his view of it. And you see Mitch McLeod moving over to the racing line, and Dalton going for the move on Snell. Doesn't quite commit to it, but Snell overreacted, gets a tap from McLeod while running wide in the corner. Contact again with Justin Howe, and Justin moves on ahead of Ben Snell. Big change there for the podium positions on the penultimate lap.
Yes, certainly. And Mitch McLeod now shuffled back into P4, and you can see how close the likes of Aaron Dillon and they are now with how hard they've been fighting in these last few corners. So it's anybody's guess as to what's going to happen, but Mitch McLeod's probably going to set himself up to get second place here by the end of the straight if he can time the draft right.
We'll see if he can time that draft right indeed, but it looks like Ben Snell just getting a whisper of a draft from Justin Howe down the front stretch. Dalton doesn't have to worry about any of this. He is far enough ahead that the draft doesn't really matter, but man, Justin Howe going super hard into turn 1, and Ben Snell almost bumping him out of the way there. Gives him a big tap, tries to get up the inside of Lockie Dalton, but does not, and Snell getting very liberal with the track limits there in turn 3 in his attempts to get past. Mitchell McLeod, it seems, has briefly vanished from this battle. He's just been sitting back and watching. Snell tries on Howe, Howe tries on Dalton. Looks like nothing doing for them at that particular corner. They've only got 3/4 of the lap to go here. McLeod having a look at Snell round the outside. They're all just trying to keep the momentum up through the corners. The truck almost comes to a stop at the apex, so you've got to be very careful about how you put the power down here. A little wide from Lockie Dalton in the first part of the chicane. Nice throttle hook up there from Justin Howe, but can't take advantage. Dalton moves in ahead of him and blocks him off. Blocks off his advances once more. Then down the straight. The final time we'll be seeing this straight in this race, and a little bit of a tap between them. Oh no, that's side-by-side contact between the leaders, and that sent Dalton crossed up, and all of them, both of them anyway, getting off the track there, and Dalton shuffled all the way back into 4th place. That side-by-side contact he will not be happy about, because at least from the outside, it looked like Justin Howe moved over on him, but it means that Ben Snell now is back into the lead, and McLeod now getting past Howe for second, and that is Howe and, my goodness, Aaron Dillon making his way up into 3rd potentially. We'll see how he goes. He's on the outside coming to the final turn. He's been knocked offline, and he goes almost off the circuit. Snell's going to take victory. McLeod in 2nd, but it's going to be Justin Howe in 3rd, and Lockie Dalton in 4th place, with the pursuing pack behind, not very far behind. Aaron Dillon, Sam Stride making their way across just after them.
Yeah, very, very close finish in the end, and it was anybody's guess as to who was actually going to win that with the way it was going, but Ben Snell managing to avoid the carnage and time his moves right. So very, very good move there by Ben Snell to end up getting the win there, but not the way that Lockie Dalton will have hoped that race will have gone at all.
Nah, certainly not. He has to settle for 4th there after tasting victory. Ben Snell, McLeod, and Howe, your podium. Aaron Dillon coming home in 5th place, with Sam Stride in 6th. Donnelly, Priest, Rushworth, and Mason rounding out the top 10. And it was a pretty good run there from Mason, having started from 16th.
A very, very good run for Richard Mason. Then you can have Daniel Stevens just behind in 11th, Ryan Meyer in 12th, 13th, Matt Morris, Norman in 14th, 15th, and Todd Maxfield, Traziz, Howe, Tompkins, Morganti, and Chandler rounding out the top 20 with Mitch Dean, unfortunately, being a DNF, as well as Jamie McCarran and Andy Carey.
Yes, Andy Carey, I think, not making it to the grid for this race. So now it's time for a very short lull between sessions as everything gets set up for the final race of the night. 9 laps coming up for you. Another big thanks to our sponsors of Hot Toddy's Heating Installs, Allstate Security Tasmania, and Scamander Coffee Mug. You're watching Season 2 of the Pro Truck Showdown here on SimSpeed TV.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh
one.
my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
You're watching the Pro Truck Showdown here on SimSpeed TV. I'm Reese Gardner and Cam Dance alongside me in the commentary box. We saw some fantastic racing in both races already tonight, but we have a 9-lap race 3 coming up very, very soon. Just as the drivers have their little expression session out on track. But Cam, race 1, turns out, was quite chaotic. There was an incident that we missed here that we're seeing on replay that ended up involving half of the field, and we were so focused on what was going on up the front.
Yes, certainly. It sounded like it was quite the mess that happened down here at turn number 5, and 3 wide does not fit into that corner at all. And then you can see Sam Stride launching it up the inside, Kate Donnelly getting swamped by everybody behind, and then it's all sort of gone off from there.
Yeah, looks like it has. Oh my goodness, Dwayne Priest going for the move there and going all the way off the circuit to try and get it done. But there is the number 7 of Ashley Norman just working his way back past him. It was so chaotic in race 1. There was plenty going on all throughout the field, and I think that's one of the great things about the Pro Truck Showdown is that no matter where you are in the field, no matter what your pace is, you have someone to race with. And Kay Donnelly, again, a bit optimistic into the braking zone there, just giving Sam Stride one heck of a tap and ultimately shuffling himself back behind just about all of his competitors.
Yes, certainly. It was quite the tap that ended up not working in his favour, unfortunately. So, yeah, one of those things. But like you said, it is one of those series that where you're going to have someone to race or a few people to race, no matter where you are in the field, because it's just that close in terms of pace differential between everybody in the field.
Yeah, and it helps that this series is also fixed setup, so you can't employ any tricks to make your truck faster. You drive what you're given, as does everyone else. But now we are in the gridding period for the final race of the night, and well, starting from pole is the winner of the last race, Ben Snell, and Mitchell McLeod starting alongside him. Justin Howe and Lockie Dalton have unfinished business from race 2. They'll be starting alongside each other on row 2, with Aaron Dillon and Sam Stride on the 3rd row. Kay Donnelly and Dwayne Priest on row 4, with Alan Rushworth and Richard Mason rounding out the top 10.
Then you go over the page. Row 6 is going to be Stevens and Meyer. Row 7, Morris and Norman. Maxford and Traziz on row 8, Howe and Tompkins on row 9, and then Morganti and Chandler rounding out the top 20 on row 10, and then Mitch Dean and Jamie Carran and Andy Carey all not taking to the start by the looks of it.
Yeah, looking like it. So coming up on this final race, the winners of the night so far. Justin Howe took the win in race 1, and Ben Snell tasting victory in race 2. Can Mitchell McLeod etch his name into the Pro Truck Showdown history books as the winner of race 3 at Barcelona? We'll have to wait and see, because there's a hell of a lot of trucks behind him who want that same honour. So through the final turn they go, and once again, thanks to the rolling start here, it is going to be on the iRacing green flag that we start. In goes the Porsche 911 iRacing pace car. It's all going to be down to how Ben Snell and Mitchell McLeod hook up that throttle application when the green flag drops. They're almost in the starting area. 22 trucks for one final time here at Barcelona for 9 laps. The green flag flies, and away we go. That's a great jump there from Aaron Dillon, managing to make his way past Howe already, who gets into stride, and oh no, that was big contact between the two of them. And Sam Stride sent flying, as was Cade Donnelly and Ricardo Morganti as well. That was huge. Just a little bit of rear quarter contact that sent Aaron Dillon spearing into the side of Sam Stride, and now he's got a lot of damage to deal with here on lap 1.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't a start that Stridey or any of those drivers will have hoped for at all, and unfortunately that's going to be some big damage for Morganti and Donnelly as well, so not what they will have hoped in there, unfortunately. Probably going to be DNF'd, and it's happened again.
It's happened again indeed. It's Brian Trezise going for a tumble in the sand pit, and it looks to me like that was started from contact with Matt Morris down on the inside of the 4th turn, but they continue moving up the front and all through the field. The number 16 trying his best here once again, fighting against Alan Rushworth, but up the front, Mitchell McLeod and Ben Snell hold station, with Lockie Dalton right behind them. And oh no, Mitchell McLeod has messed up the exit of the right-hander. It means Ben Snell's going to have a go at him here for the lead, and he's got the outside at this hairpin, which is the place to be if you want to secure the move. McLeod can push a little bit further into the corner, but looks like he hadn't really taken that opportunity. He's gotten the power down beautifully though, and Ben Snell has very little response.
Yeah, he certainly does, and has to slot in behind McLeod for the time being, but they're all single file, very, very close as well. So coming out of the front straight, it's going to be a very, very big drag race on the way down to turn number 1, and anyways, guess it's who's going to come away with the lead of this race once they get down there.
Yes, unfortunately, it looks like we've lost quite a few drivers out of this one. Jamie McCarran, Mitch Dean, Harry Tompkins, Ashley Norman, and Cade Donnelly all retiring from this race as they move down the front stretch for the 2nd time out of 9. And look at Ben Snell taking advantage of the draft and on the brakes a little bit later than Mitch McLeod and moving ahead by the time they get to the turn-in point. Can McLeod actually respond to him here? He could try sticking it around the outside of turn 3, but looks like the opportunity wasn't there for the time being. Going to get a quick modem simulation replay of the start incident. So we want to keep an eye on what happened here, because it was a bad start there for the number 78, and it was just trying to work against each other. And there's Aaron Dillon spearing into the side of Stride, and huge incident, going for a tumble. Cade Donnelly, I do not blame him for retiring after that.
Yeah, certainly. And then you see Brian Trees going for a bit of a tumble and deciding to build some sandcastles in the sandpit after having side-by-side contact with what looks to be Matt Morris, who launches it up the inside and then just turns him. Unfortunately, it grips up and over he goes.
Yeah, Brian Trezise won't be too happy with that one. He'll have a few grievances to talk about after this race, but it's Mitchell McLeod and the number 40 out in front, but have a look at the pack behind. They're all wanting this position. Dalton, Snell, and Dillon behind, and there goes Justin Howe trying up the inside of Dwayne Priest. It hasn't worked out, and they've all gone smashing into each other. Priest gets back ahead of Aaron Dillon, who is just an innocent victim in all of this, and gets Howe right back. And have a look at that out of nowhere. Richard Mason goes on through, as everyone can't get out of each other's hair. Richard Mason is the barber.
Yeah, he certainly is the victor in that one, and is going to walk away with a few positions handy. And in his hands, so he'll be happy with that, and he'll be on the charge for the likes of Ben Snell and Co at the front of the field. But Justin Howe's right on his tail now, so Howe's probably going to look to make a move at turn 1 here.
Yeah, so will Daniel Stevens on Ryan Meyer. Have a look at this as they ride on board with Alan Rushworth. Meanwhile, for that 5th place and for the 9th place, have a look at Ryan Meyer here. He's going to try and hold it with Daniel Stevens as they enter turn 1. Aaron Dillon moving ahead of Matt Morris, and Daniel Stevens there securing the move. Unfortunately, Alan Rushworth unable to take advantage of that, but see if Ryan can hold it round the outside of Stevens round turn 3. Just put the power down, keep the wheels spinning, keep the truck rotating, and it'll work out nicely, but doesn't seem to have done so this time round. He's much later on the brakes, though, and sweeps around the outside, just keeps it on the black stuff. And this is going to lead into a great inside run for the hairpin, potentially. Stevens might... Oh, he almost left the door open, but goes right into the middle of the circuit. Meyer hits him out of the way as a result, and Stevens having to give up the position to Alan Rushworth there.
Yeah, he certainly did have to concede the position, unfortunately, with the way that all sort of panned out for him, unfortunately. He's looking at... He gets into the back of Rushworth as well for good measure, and you're going to have Todd Maxwell looking to take advantage of this as well. He's going to send it up the inside of Stevens, a little bit of a door-to-door contact, and Stevens will hold on to that position only just.
Only just indeed, and it looks like Ryan Meyer's managed to escape the clutches of that fight. I see Philip Howe just behind all of them as well, looking to take advantage of this. Oh, Stevens a little bit late in on the brakes. Hit Alan Rushworth, who then ricocheted into Ryan Meyer. And Stevens almost going off the track there. Ryan Meyer securing the position once again from Rushworth, who tried his best to hold it round the outside. But just up ahead of them, it is all on, because these leaders of ours, Mitchell McLeod, Lockie Dalton and Ben Snell, they've all broken away from the rest of the field, and it is a proper top 3 battle again, but they've got plenty of time for the drivers behind to catch up. 2:05.2 for Mitchell McLeod there, fastest lap of the race so far, but Lockie Dalton is going to try and take that joy away from McLeod with a move at turn 1. Is it going to work out for him? No. Mitchell McLeod once again, bit late on the brakes, and Snell firing it up the inside of turn 2. Wasn't able to get it done, but oh, here we go. He could get it done here. Hits Lockie Dalton into Mitchell McLeod, and both of them bumped out of the way. Ben Snell through into the lead.
How Dalton kept that up on 2 wheels and didn't actually roll over, I've got no idea. That was so close to ending up on his roof that it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I've got no idea either. That was very good car control there from Lockie Dalton. He's going to try up the inside of Snell here. Another tap coming into the hairpin. Mitchell McLeod sees that and thinks, oh, cookies, hello, thank you. No, not for now. It's Lockie Dalton who gets the lead back from Ben Snell at the hairpin. And this is all bringing Justin Howe back into contention again as they're side by side. That's Dalton off the track at the chicane. He might have gotten a slowdown or at least an off track from that one. So Ben Snell now will smell blood. He's going to try around the outside potentially of this hairpin. Have a look at Philip Howe, or sorry, Justin Howe. He is right with them now. It's a top 4 battle. A tap for McLeod on Dalton. Gets shoved off the racing line, and oh my goodness, there goes Justin Howe. Look at him go. Right up. Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, breathe, breathe. They've all managed to keep it on track, and they're all together. Justin Howe trying his best to keep it on the circuit. He's getting pulled out into the gravel trap by Ben Snell. Just secures the position ahead of him. And Snell firing it into the final turn, trying to get as good of a run as he can on Dalton. Well, McLeod now is off the podium, and there's potentially could fall even further back because Richard Mason, who we saw doing exactly what Howe just did, he's on his way up into this top 5 fight as well as we're side by side.
Yeah, certainly. He's made his way onto the back of this little train in this 4-way fight for the lead of this race. 2 by 2 on the way into turn number 1. On Howe cops a whack from McLeod, and Snell's barely going to make it on through. Dalton cops a whack from McLeod, runs a little bit wide, and now Mason going to try and challenge for the position.
Yeah, just has to slot back in behind for now, though. But he has got the biggest chance he'll ever have. Richard Mason's results. He only just broke into the top 10 in race 2. His previous finish was a 16th, so this is quite a ways away from where he was probably expecting to be. And he thinks, well, as long as these leaders keep fighting, I've got a shot at a podium here, potentially a win. Great position to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. And all he needs to do is just bide his time at this stage and take advantage of the victims that end up being possible contact at the end of the day. So if he can keep doing what he's doing at the moment, he'll be in for a real good shot at come the end of this race, I imagine.
Here's Matt Morris, just up ahead of Aaron Dillon and Ryan Meyer, with Aaron Dillon in the 0-1-3 there, getting a good run out of the chicane. Matt Morris now moved himself up into 6th place, and we've seen that that he's gotten that done with a little bit of contact here and there, but it's still a good run from him as, lapped car getting out of the way of the leaders, and McLeod through on Snell, but Snell's going to get him right back there as McLeod gets crossed up. Justin Howe then up into 3rd. And McLeod managing to work his way back up into a competitive position over the last few corners.
Yeah, certainly has worked his way up into a position that he's probably a little bit more familiar with and probably one that he wants to be in as well. But if they come together, he's going to be back straight to where he was prior. So he's going to have to be careful and kind of going to have to try and work with Ben Snell here a little bit to try and pull away from these 2 or these 3 behind him.
Indeed. Well, it's not going to happen this time round. There was a slight weave down the start-finish stretch, and McLeod having the mother of all drafts here on Snell. We know how brave both of these guys are into the braking zone, and it looks like they're equally as brave, with Justin Howe having to check himself up there. McLeod holding it side by side with Ben Snell here as we ride on board with him. But the 141 just sneaks back ahead into turn 3, and McLeod has got Justin Howe for very close company on the exit of the 3rd turn. He's going to try and go for the inside on Snell coming into turn 4. Can he get it done sideways? Nope, that is a big hit there, and Snell, for the 3rd time in as many races, I think, smashed out of the lead, back down into 5th place, with Richard Mason now up into 4th. That means Justin Howe now back into the lead. Another big tap there. That was Snell just giving Dalton a tap. He gets back ahead of Mason, and have a look at Dalton now onto the back of Mitchell McLeod, trying to get 2nd. Well, he's never been closer to a victory, and he's certainly hoping that he gets it.
Yeah, certainly is hoping that he gets in. It's looking like it's very, very possible with the way these drivers have all been fighting very hard with each other over these last 6 laps. So going to be very, very interesting to see whether he can get away with this one and have the floodgates open for him, or whether he's going to possibly just have to try and settle for the position he's in. But you can see the McLeod running a little bit wide. Dalton's going to force it up the inside, barely going to make contact, but he's just managed to do it. And Ben Snell trying to get in there as well. He's going to give him a little bit of a bump to Dalton, but Dalton just continues on.
Well, that's what you can do in these trucks. They can take an awful lot of damage, these things. Justin Howe has capitalized on that lead, and he's eked out a bit of a gap here over McLeod, which is going to be negated a little bit thanks to the draft, but it's much of a muchness. Alan Rushworth and Philip Howe, meanwhile, for the last 2 positions in the top 10, they've managed to clear Daniel Stevens, Todd Maxfield, and Dwayne Priest, and they are both together here, with Howe having a massive draft here on Alan Rushworth. Just steered out of it a little too late there with a bit of rear-end contact, but that's all fine and dandy in this series. And a bit later on the brakes is Howe. Can he take it round the outside? Oh no. Unfortunately, Rushworth just carrying a bit more speed into the corner and securing the position. Meanwhile, Mitchell McLeod back into the lead, as that is Justin Howe. Out and wide off the circuit. Look at Dalton trying up the inside of McLeod with barely a truck's width of room on the inside. They all keep it on the track though, and have a look at Ben Snell in the red and white truck. He's going to try and come back at them here.
Yeah, and Justin Howe sitting in prime position as well to take advantage if they all come together. They do check up a little bit. Snell's going to try and get it up the inside of Dalton, but not quite going to be able to do it in the end, and they're going to have to stay single file. Howard's looking very, very racy at the moment. Looks like they want to try and get on by Ben Snell as well. A little bit of checking up going on. Richard Mason sitting there not knowing what to do.
Yeah, well, Ben Snell had a bit of a compromised exit there from the chicane, and He has to take an awful lot of the inside curb to try and keep Mr. Howe behind him, but I don't think that's going to last very long. The bump draft is here, and they both move over to the right-hand side of the circuit. That's Dalton and McLeod just up ahead, fighting into the braking zone. Ooh, they almost tap each other out of the way, and Snell forces his way up the inside of Dalton on the exit, and he's gotten it done. Oh, that was a big concertina. All of the drivers getting a bit of whiplash from that one, I think. And have a look once again at Richard Mason. He's taken advantage of the other drivers getting into each other, and with a little bit of a tap there on Lockie Dalton on the exit, he secures himself into third place.
Yeah, so now on for a podium at this rating. Mitchell McLeod as well and truly gapped the rest of these drivers who have all been absolutely scrapping it crazy in these last few corners in the last half of the lap. So Mitchell McLeod really in a prime position here to try and win this one with great ease, although Ben Snell's coming very, very quickly, so he's going to have to try and possibly think of a way to try and break the draft, or at least use this lap to get a bit of a breakaway going.
And this is where Matt Morris comes into account as well, because he's right on the back of this train along with Ryan Meyer. They're all together now on this penultimate lap of the race. So we'll wait and see what Morris does here versus Howe, the series runner. Has a little bit of a look up the inside, but not going for the move that time round. You see that is Mr. Morris there in the blue Velocity truck. Justin Howe just up ahead of him there. And it's nice and calm between our top three, but it's looking like a proper top 7 train forming between all of these drivers. And elsewhere on the circuit, it's looking to me like the battle with Todd Maxfield, Philip Howe, Alan Rushworth, Daniel Stevens, and Dwayne Priest, there is no end to it. They are all still together on the exit of the hairpin as these guys continue fighting away.
Yeah, and Stephen's going to fire it up the inside of Rushworth. They're going to be side by side. A little bit of door banging going on between the two of them, but looks like Rushworth is going to try and hold it up the inside, but Stephen's going to have the outside momentum. A little bit of contact between the two of them, and that's going to allow the car of Dwayne Priest to look on by Daniel Stevens. It's going to be a bit of a drag race. It looks to the inside, not quite going to be able to get the move done, but just ahead of them, Philip Howe and Todd Maxfield coming together, and they all come together behind them as well.
Yeah, Daniel Stevens having to take a quick trip through the gravel trap, as was Dwayne Priest, but that's worked out between them for now. We check back in with the lead group. Richard Mason in third place as we ride on board with Lockie Dalton coming onto the start-finish stretch, and it's going to be white flag for these drivers. One more lap to go for Mitchell McLeod out in the lead, and he seems pretty comfortable there. We'll see what kind of moves are made, if any, down at turn 1. Everyone's a bit more spaced out than they were, so there's no banzai overtaking maneuvers for the time being, but Richard Mason is going to be one of the most stressed out drivers in the field right now, on the verge of getting his first podium in the Pro Truck Showdown, and he has got the enemies at the gate behind him.
Yeah, it certainly does, in the form of Lockie Dalton, Howe, Morris, and even Meyer, who is in with a shot of a possible podium here at this rate. So it's going to be anybody's guess as to what's going to happen here in this final lap between these top 6 drivers. And yeah, really just going to be a matter of close your eyes and hope for the best, I think.
Yeah, well, Mitchell McLeod's not going to be closing his eyes up at the front. He's got eyes forward completely, but all of these drivers starting to check up again. Ben Snell leading the pack down into that chicane for the final time tonight, and all of them getting a bit liberal with the track limits. There's nothing that they can do, though, to try and get past each other. I saw some technical issues briefly for Lockie Dalton. That could potentially open him up to an attack here from Justin Howe coming into the braking zone. Howe has placed his truck correctly. He's on the outside, which is where you can get a great advantage, but you have to hook up the throttle, and it doesn't look like that he's managed to do that at the right time, so no change for position there. But Richard Mason leaving the door open briefly for that third place. Dalton almost slipping through and snatching that position away. but now only 2 turns to go. Now 1 turn to go for our race leader, Mitchell McLeod. But oh no, he's gotten a slowdown at the final corner, or has he run out of fuel? Ben Snell into the lead. He's going to take the double victory here tonight. That is Ben Snell in P1, along with Richard Mason in second place. What a drive from Richard. Lockie Dalton finally getting his podium, with Howe and Morris completing the top 5. Mitchell McLeod, it looks like, did run out of fuel, and Ryan Meyer there being one hell of a sportsman and pushing him across the line. But Ben Snell coming away with 2 victories tonight. He will be incredibly happy with that points haul.
Yeah, he certainly will be very, very happy. And even Alan Rushworth falling victim to running out of fuel as well in the end. He was on for a pretty solid result, going to be on for probably a top 10, but unfortunately ran out of fuel just at the second last corner. A little bit odd that actually having people run out of fuel is normally these things are filled up enough.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. So we'll have to think about that in post-race. But those are your race results there. Ben Snell taking victory by half a second from Richard Mason and Lockie Dalton, with Howe and Morris completing the top 5, of course. Mitchell McLeod coming home in 6th place, getting pushed across the line by Ryan Meyer. Aaron Dillon, Todd Maxfield, and Daniel Stevens rounding out the top 10. A good night for those guys.
Yeah, certainly a very, very good night. Philip Howe comes home in 11th with Rushworth in 12th after running out of fuel and being pushed to the line by Dwayne Priest in 13th. Jay Chandler in 14th with Brian Trees after rolling it, ends up 15th in the end. Sam Stride in 16th. 17th to Ricardo Morganti with Cade Donnelly in 18th, unfortunately, as a DNF.
Yeah, and that was the last of your finishers. Norman Tompkins, Dean McCarran, and Carey, unfortunately, not taking to the grid for that one. But that's going to be the end of it here for us at SimSpeed TV, and another excellent round of the Pro Truck Showdown, which I'm sure has shaken up the championship. And I think Ben Snell can pretty conclusively be called the round winner after that. 4th in race 1, and then a win each in races 2 and 3. We'll see you next week, but where is the question? We won't find out what track is for the next round until Friday. Until then, you can tune in and subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure to like us on Facebook at SimSpeed TV. And another big thanks to the Pro Truck Showdown and their sponsors, Hot Toddy's Heating Installs, Scamander Coffee Mug, and Allstate Security Tasmania. I'm Reese Gardner, Cameron Dance was alongside me, Jay Kennedy was making everything happen behind the scenes. We're SimSpeed TV, and we'll see you again very soon.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys, I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go.
Oh no.
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?